If right now you're trying to fix your life, you feel like your mental health is suffering, you don't feel as good as you could be doing, there's only two reasons why you haven't been seeing the progress that you want. Number one, you haven't cut out bad habits. And number two, you haven't implemented good habits. Now, as simplistic as that sounds, I don't want you to overlook this because it seems so simplistic, and that's why most people will skip this and they'll think, well, that's obvious. But understand what I'm saying here. Most people, when they try to get on self-improvement, they try to implement good habits, but they haven't removed the bad habits first. That is the problem. You can't fill up your cup when it's already full of things that aren't serving you. These bad habits are literally holding you back. Trying to implement good habits before you have gotten rid of these bad ones, it's never going to stick. Because basically your brain has become accustomed to these things. Everything that comes from instant gratification, that's what the bad habits are. That's why you consider them bad habits. You already know what these habits are. You don't even need me to list them out because everybody has particular bad habits that they know aren't serving them. For me, that was social media and video games, the two biggest things that had a hold on me. And it wasn't until I realized that they had a hold on me that I was able to cut them out. But the thing is, most people never get to that point because they see that it's a problem, but they don't want to cut it out. And I get it. I get that there's going to be some resistance to cutting them out. But it's not until you actually get to that point when you finally cut them out that you're going to see progress in your life. You're never going to be able to fix your life until you get rid of those things. You could try and cope. You could try and kid yourself and say, I can just reduce the time. I could just play video games 1 hour a day. I could just scroll on social media 1 hour a day. That doesn't work. And it's not because you can't make do with that, right? 1 hour. It's not that 1 hour is going to completely screw up your life and ruin your productivity or anything like that. It's more a matter of because that time is there, you're not going to do the good habits as a result. You'll try to implement those good habits. You'll try to read. You'll try to journal. You'll try to meditate. You'll try to go for walks. But guess what? Those things won't stick because you have other things that are taking precedent over it. Think about it. Why is it that you haven't stuck to these good habits? You've maybe tried to implement them in the past, but you can only stick with them for a few days. Oftentimes, you just go right back to playing video games or scrolling. That was the same case for me. Many months ago, this is where I was at. I was trying to improve my life because I realized I kind of fell off in a way and I didn't like where my life was headed. So I said, okay, I need to take a step back. I need to cut these things out. I need to cut out social media and video games. They had a hold on me. But I didn't cut them out completely. All I did was try to reduce the time. So instead of 3 hours, I got it down to 1. Now, of course, you could say, well, that's progress. And it is. But I knew that I needed to do more than that because I still wasn't implementing the good habits that was going to change my life. All I was doing was literally taking away the thing that made me feel happy in the moment. Instant gratification absolutely will make you feel happy in the moment, but it's not going to make you happy long term. It won't fulfill you. You see, so all you're really doing is now cutting back on the thing that's holding you back, these bad habits. You're reducing the time, but yet you don't see any of the positive results. Right? So you cut these things back and yet you don't feel any better. And the reason is because these things still have a hold on you and the good habits can't stick. They won't stick. It's not until you remove these things completely that the good habits will stick. That's what I really want you to understand from this video. This message here is that you cannot have one while having the other. You can only, let me reword that. You can't have both good habits and bad habits. You need to have just one or the other. So which it's going to be? Which is it going to be, right? Is it going to be the good habits or is it going to be the bad habits? Now you could choose. You could say, well, you know what? I don't think I want it that bad. I guess I'll just stick with the bad habits. Go ahead. You're not going to feel happy. And you know that. That's why you're watching this video. That's why you know you need to make a change. And I get it. There's going to be some resistance there, but that's a good thing. It's a good thing that there's that resistance because it's only through the resistance that you're going to grow. Because it's hard, you know that you're on the right path. You know that you need to cut it out. You only feel the resistance because you're literally attached to those things right now. But when you cut them out, when they're finally removed, you can actually enjoy your life. The good habits will genuinely feel so amazing. I'm telling you, that's why I come for these walks every day. I genuinely enjoy coming on a walk every day. I love recording these videos here and sharing these messages with you. But it wouldn't have always been like that. Just in the past few months, this has changed for me. It wasn't like that before. There was no way that I wanted to go on walks when it's winter. It's actually cold out right now. Why would I want to go on a walk? I'd rather stay at home and just enjoy, sitting there on my bed, being cozy, right? But when you realize the good habits, like meditating, walking, journaling, actually bring you fulfillment, because in doing them, they get you closer to the goals that you actually want to achieve, you're willing to push through the hardships and challenges that come. Right? It's not easy necessarily for me to come here every day. Some days there's some resistance to doing it, but I do it because in the end, it feels better. Because these kind of habits bring delayed gratification. It's the exact opposite of the distractions. Instant gratification. Instant gratification, you feel that immediate sense of pleasure, but not long-term fulfillment. Delayed gratification, on the other hand, comes from all the good habits. And you already know what all these things are. One, because I've listed them already in this video, but two, you already knew meditation, journaling, reading, walking, all of these things are absolutely better for you than scrolling, watching Netflix, and playing video games. And why is it that you know that? It's because those things don't bring you happiness. They don't bring you fulfillment. They only bring you stimulation and entertainment. Delayed gratification will bring you the happiness and fulfillment that you're after, but only once you've cut those things out. If you try to do it too early, those things won't stick. They will never stick because those other things are taking their place. You need to remove those things first. I know this sounds like a broken record here, but I really want to hone in on this idea because most people will overlook it. If you're still watching this video, it's because you resonate with it. You resonate with the message, you know it's what you need, but you still need a little push. I get it, because it was hard for me. And you know what I did? When I finally realized that was what I needed, I finally needed to cut things out. I needed to simplify my life. Not add more things in. It's not a matter of trying to add more good habits or any habits for that matter. What you're trying to do is cut things out, remove things, simplify your life, become a minimalist. When you do that, you see everything becomes so much happier, so much more fulfilling. The way that I did that, when I finally got to the point, I finally realized I needed to cut these things out. For video games, it took me a while. To be honest, I still hadn't wanted to cut it out completely. I knew that I needed to do it, and so I made the decision to stop playing. But I didn't take any sort of physical action against it. And so the console was still there in my room. The temptation was still there. Now, I never actually went back to play it because I had made the decision consciously in my mind I was going to cut it out. But because it was still there, every day when I would walk in my room, I would feel the pull towards it. And it didn't make any sense. But the reason that I kept it there was because it felt so difficult to just cut it out completely. Because at that point, it would have meant no more. You're not going back to it. You're cutting it out. You're removing it. And that was tough because there was still a pull towards it. I still felt the good feelings towards it. Even though I knew it was messing up my sleep and everything else, I still had a pull towards it because it's entertaining. But I needed to cut it out completely, and the way to do that was to do a physical action. So guess what I did? I unplugged the console, packed it up in its original box, and put it on the highest shelf in my closet, all the way to the back, so I couldn't reach it. Now, of course, it's still available. I could absolutely pull it back down, but the amount of resistance that was there from before till now has increased like tenfold. Think about how much more effort it would be for me to go ahead and grab that Xbox again, for me to pull it down out of the closet. That's a lot of effort just to play a game. So it would make me second guess it. Would I really want it? Do I need it that bad? No. and I haven't gone back since. But in that moment, it was very difficult to do it. Even as I was packing it up, I said, do I really want to pack this up right now? You know, what if I still want to play that one day, right? But that was the point. You need to cut it out completely. Now, I'm not saying that in the future, I'll never play video games again. That's not necessarily the case, and it may not be necessary for you either. But you absolutely need to cut it out right now if you realize it's a problem. You cannot just limit it. You need to cut it out. I'm telling you, this is the one reason why you're not seeing the progress that you want in your life. And it doesn't relate just to video games, because maybe that's not what you're struggling with. It could be social media. It could be something else entirely. Anything that's stimulating your brain with instant gratification absolutely needs to be cut out. And it's not until you get rid of it that it makes sense to implement good habits. People have it backwards. They try and improve their life, but all they do is try to implement good habits while they still try to do the bad ones. It doesn't work like that. You need to cut those things out. So take some sort of physical action against it, whatever it is. If it's video games, you could do the same thing as me. Maybe you need to take it a step further. Maybe what you actually need to do is go ahead and give it to a friend, right? Maybe that's what it takes. Whatever you feel real resistance to doing, whatever feels like a really tough decision to make, that's the right move. Because when you do that, it means that you're not turning back. There's no going back. You've gone all in. When you've gone all in, that means the only way to go is forward. You can't return. There's no escape route. That's what you need. Remove those pockets of time where you would have done the bad habits, and slowly, over time, then implement good habits. Be willing to sit with that emptiness, that void. That's the other thing. You need a little bit of time in between when you take out those bad habits and implement good habits. Be willing to feel that emptiness, that boredom, that sense of discomfort. The times that you would have played Xbox, the times that you would have scrolled Instagram. Instead, sit with that uncomfortable feeling. Sit with it. Feel it. Feel why it makes you feel uncomfortable. Allow yourself to reset your dopamine, and from there, then you implement the good habits. But only then. Don't do it early. Don't try and implement those good habits when it's too early. They won't stick. So I really hope that I made my point clear, because this took a long time for me to recognize. Tried implementing good habits while I was still doing bad ones, and it doesn't work like that. So if you're not seeing the progress that you want to see, you haven't fixed your life the way that you want, your mental health is still suffering, this is the reason. You need to be willing to cut out whatever it is that's holding you back right now. And only at that point will you see the progress that you want. I really hope this video was helpful. If it was, leave a comment, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel if you want, and I'll see you in the next video.